Hello everyone, welcome to Gardening TLC. I am Michelle and today we are at my friend Leslie's house. We are going to be putting in the landscape design that we did for this house. I think it was back in March or April. John and Leslie live busy lives and they needed something that was going to complement their house, be beautiful, but easy to maintain. So we created a design for them that today we're going to install. So come along today, check it out. We are going to totally transform the front of this house. I love the look of this little house. This faces east and the sun is directly behind me, so it travels over the top of the house. So it's going to get a lot of great morning sun, but because it's surrounded by trees on all sides, by the time we get to noon, most of the garden beds that are in the front of the house are going to be in the shade. We live in northern Illinois, zone 5. Now this bed is designed to be lower maintenance so that they don't have to get outside and fuss around and do a lot of things. We played up a lot of colors and textures, and I can't wait to put this in because they are going to love it. The guys are going to start ripping everything out, but first let's take a look at everything that's there now, so you kind of got a before picture, and a little bonus, we're going to do the side. All right, let's go take a look. All right, since we did the video on the design, it is now summertime. That was like 2 months ago, so there really wasn't a lot of vegetation going on in the bed. So basically we're going to be pulling everything out, including the lighting. We're going to be taking out this shrub right here, all of the unanimous. We're going to actually transplant the boxwoods. We're going to use those along the side. We'll take out these unanimous as well. And then over here, this is what happens when you just whack away at a shrub without cutting into the joints and stuff. You end up with stubs and all kinds of funky growth on your shrub. So we'll be taking this woodilla out as well. So all of the daffodils that were around the bottom, whatever bulbs get dug up as we recut the bed and put things in, those will also go. Now, part of what we're doing too, this wasn't in the design, is this side bed right here. So we do have daylilies, Solomon seal, and hostas in here, along with, looks like some Joe Pye weed growing over here. But we're gonna pull this all up and make it a little simpler and easier. They don't want just green hostas, so we're gonna add some other things to this. So you'll get to see this as a little bonus. So what we're gonna do first is the guys, once again, they're gonna come through and they're gonna rip everything out. Now we are gonna be recutting a new line into this bed. We're gonna do a natural trenched edge. So we'll show you how to trench the bed, but then we're also gonna add compost to all of the beds so that we've got some good rich soil to work with. Some of the soil here isn't as great as soil that we get to work with in other places. So whenever that happens, we always want to amend the soil. So we did bring 3 yards of compost with us. I love the way this design turned out. So I've shown you the design, you've seen what it looks like, this is what we're installing. Let's talk about the individual plants. While we're doing that, the guys are gonna make some noise in the background because they're ripping everything out, lickety split. All right, we're gonna start all the way on the right and work our way over to the left. We're gonna start with this beautiful Japanese maple. I love Japanese maples, but they're a little tricky to grow here. You have to have the right spot in northern Illinois, zone 5, to plant one of these guys. He is more of an understory tree that can handle like dappled shade or morning sun because they need to be protected, or you'll have leaf scorch on them, or the winter winds will take them out. So we never plant them on the northwest side of our property. We also make sure that they have like some screens around them to give them that love and protection that they need. Now this one is called, oh my goodness, Temikeyama. I think I said that right. Now this guy is got a really beautiful purple red arching branch structure to it, but it turns bright red in the fall. So this guy is absolutely gorgeous. He grows in zone 5 through 8. Now they want good, rich, draining soil, and they want that consistency of that soil to be kind of moist. They don't want to sit in standing water, and they don't want it all sogged out, and they don't definitely want to go wet, dry, wet, dry. Nice and consistent. That's what a Japanese maple likes. On the left side of the house, we're going to put another anchor, and this is going to be a serviceberry. Now this is an autumn brilliance, and we are doing a multi-trunk so that we can cut out the bottom branches to kind of create a screen. These guys bloom white little flowers all over them in the spring. Now they don't have a very long bloom time, maybe a couple weeks, but then they're this beautiful green. They have a nice shape to them, but they get this beautiful red color in the fall. So we're going to have red on either side of the garden, and the Japanese maple will be 1 and the serviceberry will be 2. So that will be the anchors on either side. Now let's talk about what we're going to put in between all of it. We did mirror the bed so that we had the same thing planted on both sides. That way we have some nice symmetry going on, and it makes it easier for maintenance. We are going to put hostas in the bed underneath both the trees on either side. I am going to use the Proven Winners hosta right here. I love this little hosta. It's not very big. This one is the Shadowland collection, and it's called Autumn Frost. It's actually really super pretty. Now this guy grows in zone 3 through 9, and when it first emerges, it kind of has a blue hue on the leaves, and the outside edges are yellow. As it ages and progresses through the summer, these will turn more of a creamy white. It also gets its flowers kind of sort of about this tall above the hosta itself, and they are also a beautiful creamy white. So it only gets about 12 inches high, but it gets 2 feet wide. So we're gonna like flank the front of each of the trees with 3 of these, and that will be so pretty underneath. The nice thing about hostas is they want the same growing conditions that Japanese maple does. It helps cool the roots on those Japanese maples, but they want that nice consistent moisture as well. Check this guy out. This is a heucherella. It's a cross between a heuchera and a tiarella. Takes the best parts of both of them and puts them into this great plant. Now this one here is called Red Rover, and we are definitely growing this one for the foliage. So this guy has a really heavily lobbed leaf on it, and it's got this creamy kind of burgundy red foliage. Now it does get a little bit of an olive green hue to it in the summer, but it still has that, you know, tinge of that red in there. So this is going to be absolutely beautiful. They only get about 8 to 10 inches tall, but they get 18 to 24 inches wide. So this guy's almost full grown, but isn't this great? He is so gorgeous. The flowers that come up on this one, they come up above the plant. They're white. They have that little bottle brush look to them. This guy grows in zone 3 through 9. Now, one of the things that I do with coral bells when I'm growing them here in zone 5 is I do not cut these back in the winter. I leave them up all winter. They serve as some pretty winter interest. They can handle the snowpack on them. And then what I do in the spring is I just clean off any of the dead foliage. I find that with coral bells and heucheras and heucherellas, all of those here, if I cut them back, I have a hard time getting them to come back and get going again the next year. The other thing you might experience with any kind of heuchera or heucherella is ground heaving. Sometimes that happens. So it's a good idea in the fall to tamp those in really well, kind of check them a little bit in the winter, make sure they didn't push up out of the ground, and tamp those in real good. Also, I do push some mulch up around the bottom of the plant. That helps protect it and stop some of that heaving. If you're looking for a shrub that is a true problem solver, that is super easy to grow, Diravilla is the way to go. These guys are the easiest shrub I've ever grown. They grow pretty much anywhere in any kind of soil. They are not fussy, they grow very easily, and there's different color ones, so that's kind of a bonus. We are gonna plant the Diravilla Kodiak Red. Now it is by Proven Winners. Grows in zone 4 through, is it 7? Yep, 4 through 7. Now they get about 4 by 4. What I love about these guys is they'll grow in full sun, part shade, any kind of soil, deer resistant, good size, 4 by 4. So they tuck in as well, maybe not tuck in, but they fill a lot of purposes as far as the size goes. Now this red one, when it emerges in the spring, the leaves are red with kind of a green hue to them. And then as the leaves age and we get more into summer, see it's more green. But if you look real close, there's a little bit of a red tinge on the edge of the leaves. Now it will continuously bloom these little yellow honeysuckle flowers throughout the summer, and they're absolutely gorgeous. They attract all of your pollinators, so that's fabulous. And in the fall, these guys will get this beautiful red color as the leaf ages and it cools down. Absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to teach John how to keep the bottom branches pruned out of the serviceberry, and then it's going to be like a screen that you can see through, and these will be back behind there. I think it's going to be great. All right, we're only putting one more kind of plant in the front, and it is a perennial, and yeah, it's Veronica or Speedwell. I am choosing Royal Candles. Now, if you saw the tour at my house, you saw where I planted some other Veronica, and I have some Pink Potions, I have some Royal Rembrandts. None of them are doing as well as this Royal Candles. For me, this is the best returning Veronica I've ever grown. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the color of the flowers. and it's got the perfect conditions in this bed here to grow in because it's going to get all morning sun and it doesn't like the hot afternoon sun. So this is going to be the perfect addition for them, and whether or not they choose to cut them back, it doesn't take away from the plant. Now I'll show John how to do it, and I think John's okay with like a little bit of maintenance. He just doesn't want like every weekend or even once a month I got to go out and hang out in the garden to make it look good. He wants it to just maintain and look good. This guy grows in zone 3 through 9, and butterflies love Veronica. So if you want to attract butterflies to your garden, yes, this is something you want to plant. But remember, it doesn't like that hot afternoon sun, but it loves morning sun. But when it comes to deer and rabbits, Veronica isn't exactly at the top of the food list for them. When it comes to the menu of what it is that they eat, there's other things that they like. They say that they're deer and rabbit resistant, but if they're really hungry, they will eat these. It's just at the bottom of the list. There probably are other things that they would eat first. So we are also going to do the side bed for them. That wasn't part of the design that I did, but I had bid that along with doing the front. One of the things that they want over there is less. So everything over there is really healthy. They have daylilies, Solomon seal, beautiful green hostas, but they don't want all that green. So yes, we're going to be putting some hostas back in, but we're going to use variegated hostas. So one of the ones that we're going to put in is a Francis William. This is a pretty big leaf hosta, grows in zone 3 through 9. Now I've grown these lots and lots and lots, and they have that beautiful green center with the yellow margins on them. The flowers are right above the foliage, but these guys can get only 2 feet high, but they can get 3 to 4 feet wide. So that's a pretty decent sized hosta. It replaces about the size that they have right now, but the difference being they're going to have variegation in it, and they're only going to have 3 because they want less, not more. Remember, we are going to be transplanting the 2 boxwoods that are right here alongside of me over there as well. We are going to be putting Green Mountain boxwoods here so that we have the pretty little cones, and then 3 boxwoods on either side underneath the windows. That's going to be the anchor and the bones of the bed. I don't want to waste these boxwoods though. So what we do is we're going to dig them up, get as big of a root ball as we can. We're going to have the holes ready to go, and we're going to transplant them right away. And then John and Leslie are going to definitely have to keep them well watered so that they will survive. We will also come back in December and spray them with a transperspirant called Wilt Stop. And what that does is it's going to help seal the needles so that it holds the moisture of all of the water that's in there so that it can survive the winter and not dry out. That's the biggest issue that we have with boxwoods here, is that through the winter they don't have the ability to pull that water up through their roots. So if we don't water them all the way until the ground freezes, and then in that first year protect them with that Wilt Stop, we have a better shot of losing them. Now that doesn't always happen. Last winter we had a super mild winter, but this next winter could be really harsh. You never know what you're going to get here in zone 5. So we're going to take the precautions that we need to take to help those survive. Now we are going to also put another hosta over here, and we are going to be using the white edged Patriot. I think that this brings so much brightness to the garden because it's got such a wide white margin on the edge. Now this Patriot is going to grow in zone 3 through 9, 18 to 27 inches high, again 3 feet wide, so it's a bigger hosta. These are going to be in the bed. There's 5 of them, so it's going to be fabulous. We're going to plant them all together in a group. Now here where John and Leslie live, even though I talked about things being deer or rabbit resistant, they really don't have that pressure here. We are in the middle of the city. And yeah, I know deer live in the middle of the city, but I did talk to them, and there's a lot of gardens around here. No real deer pressure going on here, so I'm not really worried about putting all of the hostas in. Now they do have an air conditioner over there, and we want to make sure that whatever we plant around the air conditioner, we make sure that we don't block the airflow. Sometimes I see people plant things right up on top of their air conditioner, but that's actually detrimental to the functioning and the running and the airflow that your air conditioner needs. So we are going to be planting by the air conditioner, but we're going to be a little ways away so that way the airflow is still good. Now we are going to be using a Calamagratus over there, or a Korean feather reed grass. This guy will grow in a little bit of shade and sun. So I have these growing at my house. They don't get very big. If they're in the sun, they definitely get, you know, the foliage 2 feet high, and then the plumes come up over the top and they're like 4 feet, maybe 5 feet. But in the shade, they never get that big. So they're this soft, pretty grass that grows, and it is a cool season grass, but it gets its plumes later. So it kind of follows the rules of a warm season, but it comes up really super early. I love the plumes on this thing. When they come up, they are like this beautiful champagne pink color, and they have a nice feathery texture to them, and the plumes are like this long. They're absolutely gorgeous. I love to dry these. I love using them in arrangements. I like just leaving them on the plant. The tag says that they do need 4 to 6 hours. So when you're doing them in part shade, they're not going to be in less than 4 hours. Because we have all this beautiful morning sun here, they're going to get enough sun over here to do well. Now those champagne pink flowers, or they're not flowers, they're plumes that come up off the top of that, they actually age to this really pretty bronze color as we go into winter. I like to leave these up in the winter. They actually hold up pretty good. They do grow in zone 5 through 9, and these guys very heat tolerant. So if you're looking for something that can handle that, check, this one might be it. We're going to talk about this winter gem boxwood, which is what this is, and it's what we're replacing it with. The biggest difference is we want more anchors so that we have winter interest and it looks good, a good foundational planting. So we're going to be planting 3 of these winter gem boxwoods on this side and 3 on the other side. Now I'm choosing winter gems because I think that they hold their shape really super well. I have a lot of those growing at my house, and I've tried to grow some other ones. These don't really put off a really icky smell like some of them do. This is considered like an American boxwood, whereas like an English boxwood can really stink after, you know, I don't know, when they're putting their flowers off. And this is by their front door. Now we are going to be planting 3 of these. I'll show John how to prune them, but you remember how they have them at my house where they're kind of woolly looking, and that's kind of what they want too. They don't want a hedge, and they don't want anything that's going to get really big. These only get like 3 by 3, so they're not very big. They grow pretty slow. They are semi-drought tolerant once you get them established. If we go through a lot of dry heat, then you are going to have to add some water to them, but they're so easy to grow. I just love them. Now we are going to replace this with a green mountain boxwood. A green mountain boxwood only gets 5 to 6 feet high and maybe 3 feet wide, so it's going to have this nice pretty cone shape to it. I don't have those here, so I can't show them to you. I actually have to leave and run to the nursery to get all the boxwoods. I just didn't have time to get them. So while the guys are doing all of this, we're going to take a trip out to the garden center and pick these up. I want to know what my number one piece of advice is to people who landscape that use shovels. Sharpen them, because with sharp tools, it makes the job so much faster and easier. As you can see, we have not even been here 45 minutes. I'm going to take you through and show you how far these guys have gotten. It's so funny. The neighbor lady came out and she's like, "Are you throwing those away?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." She's like, "Can I have them?" I'm like, "Yeah." So she's over there planting. So that's so awesome that all of the plants that we took out found a home. All right, so we are going to be raking this out. Obviously, we'll get all the debris out. We'll pull some of this old mulch out. We are going to be adding compost to this bed. I told the guys not to dig the boxwoods out until they're absolutely ready to move them into the holes that they're going to go in. Even though it's cooler today, we want to just, you know, lessen that shock as much as possible. So whenever you're transplanting, that is a good rule of thumb. Wait till the last minute to do it. You're going to dig around the outside edge of it, get as much of a root ball as you can. Now you are going to be cutting the roots when you do this, but take the native soil with you, get the hole dug before you move it over, and then get it down in that hole, and then water, 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 water. That is the key to any of this. As you can see, they have already ripped out the unanimous here. They have the Wagella out over here on the end. This is just a pile of hostas. They've already dug these out. See, they got nice little root balls on them. And there's a little bit of Solomon seal in there. But you can see here, look, they've already got all of the daylilies out. I mean, this is pretty much, they got to clean it all out and everything. But look, they've pretty much ripped everything out already. Here's our little pile right here. See, they got all of this out. Now we are keeping, there's still more hostas that have to come out down here. They don't have quite enough of them out. They're gonna have to take out this whole section right here because that's where one of the boxwoods is going. We're just leaving this little end piece right here. That's it. So I ended up not going to the nursery out in Harvard. I actually just went to another local nursery and sent one of the guys to pick up what I needed. They specialize in conifers and evergreens. They're friendly to contractors, and I sold out of all of the boxwoods that I had this weekend. So I didn't have any, and it was like, oh, I don't have enough time to get out there because I had a garden club come this morning as well to the store that I had to do a presentation for. So it was like, I just do not have enough time to do that. I thought I could squeeze it in. Nope, not happening. So the guys finished off here while I went and did the presentation for the ladies. Now I'm back. They went to go dump all of the debris, get the mulch to bring it back, and then one of them went to the other nursery that's here in town to pick up the boxwoods that I need. I know that sounds really complicated, but that was actually much easier than me driving all the way to Harvard, which to do that is like, that's an hour and a half to 2 hour round trip. Here in town, he'll go, get back within 30 minutes. All right, so let's take a look at the progress that they made. We got all the compost in, everything is removed. They planted the serviceberry while I was gone, and then I'm gonna get everything in place that I can get in place before the boxwoods get here. All right, so down on this end, you can see they've cleared all the debris. They put some really nice compost in here. They did get the boxwood out, and those actually are back in the ground as well. And they did walk the Japanese maple down here. Doesn't that have a great shape? I love that. And kind of sort of put it in the place that it's gonna go. I'll shift it just a little bit, but they're pretty close. All right, and then if we come down here, these are all the lights that we pulled out of the bed. John has bought new lights and he's gonna put those in himself. But then you can see here, see they added compost into this one. They started to cut the edge in down here, and I told them to leave a little section so I could show you guys how to do it. We do have the serviceberry in here right now. Isn't it amazing how much lower they go in the ground once they're not in the pot? All right, so then we come around the corner and, oh, see, they cut this nice line here. I don't know if you can see it. They started to cut out the edge of the bed. Let's see if I can get in the shade and show it to you. There we go. So this was just what they cut out with the sod cutter. So because we did cut it out further, we decided to come out 4 feet from the house all the way out here, because everything we're planting, nothing is bigger than 4 feet. But I wanted him to be able to mow easier in front of the air conditioner and this window well down here. So they walked the grasses down here, but you can see they did get this boxwood put back in the ground, and this is where we wanted it. We ended up leaving 2 hosses right here, and see they just kind of widened the bed out a little bit right here with the sod cutter. Put everything in place. We have our Japanese maple here, our 3 autumn frost hostas, and then we have our 3 boxwoods right here. And you can see we did 1 forward and 2 back, and we've spaced those away from the house as well, because we want to make sure that they have plenty of room to grow. We have our Veronica here, and Veronica don't get very big. 12 inches apart is plenty of room. We did put our heucherellas right here with our Green Mountain boxwood, which is kind of squat and short right now, but it will grow about 5 feet tall in a nice pretty cone. Then we mirrored the other side right here, and we did the same thing with the boxwoods, 1 forward, 2 back. Now we don't have the little butt out here, so we are still mimicking what we did. The biggest difference is we have purple here, and then we have purple down here. And what we did was we put 3 on the upper level and 2 on the lower level. Then we've got that beautiful serviceberry, and then we did finish it off with the same 3 hostas around the corner. All right, so now the guys are gonna drop it into the ground. This is a king spade. We like to use this for edging, and I know there's edging tools out there, but when you've been doing it as long as we have, we just use a spade. And so basically what you're gonna do is, we have the edge here from the sod cutter, but if you were cutting it out from the grass, you would put the shovel in the ground at a little bit of maybe a 30-degree angle, and you're gonna push it into the ground with your foot. And see how he's cutting the grass, and he's pushing, cutting, pushing. Now, the other thing you can do after you get your little angle here, if you're trying to get the dirt out, is you can turn the shovel so that it's flush with where the trench is, and then scoop out some of the dirt so that you have more of an angle going in. Now he's turning the shovel and he's pushing the dirt towards me, but see how he's scooping that up? And we just recycle it back into the garden bed. Now, if you don't want to recycle it back in, you can absolutely pull it out. But now see how I've got this nice deep trench in here? And he's gonna do that all the way down. Now when the mulch gets put in, it'll come up against the edge and not spill into the lawn. Usually a natural trench edge will last anywhere from 12 to 18 months, maybe 2 years. It really depends on how deep you cut it, where it's at, is there a lot of grass, a lot of rain, things like that. So I usually have to cut mine out every couple of years. So behind me here we have the serviceberry, and one of the things that we want to do is clean up the bottom branches down here. I want them to be able to have a screen that you can kind of see through, so the Diravilla kind of peeks through and everything that's back there kind of peeks through. So we are going to go through here and just clean off the bottom branches. I'm just going to use my Focos to do that and just trim them right off. I love that we left these two hostas back here and added a Patriot in front of it. I'm pretty sure these are Royal Standards. This is a nice green hosta. They transplant well, they get good size, and they're pretty resistant to slugs. So they're pretty popular when you're looking for just a dark green hosta. The thing with this bed was we just didn't want all of them to be this dark green hosta, but it is a pretty hosta. And see, this will be a nice white edged hosta in front of it. It will really brighten up this little corner just by adding that one little piece of white. Right, we are all finished. We got the dark walnut mulch down. We put the fertilizer and the pre-emergent. I think this thing turned out so good. And you know what? Not all landscaping has to be complicated or long-term you're going to be gardening all the time, because that's not what everybody wants. Sometimes we just want easy and we want it to just look beautiful. I love the boxwoods. I think they're going to fill in beautifully. I love the hostas underneath the Japanese maple. When I come back at 5 o'clock to walk John and Leslie through everything, I'm going to cut these back. I want them to see what the flowers look like though. These guys need to focus on root development right now. So, plus I just watered them. So they're looking a little floppy, I guess would be the word I would use. But when they reflush, they'll be absolutely perfect. I love the little green mountain boxwood with a touch of red in front of it. I know some things are a little floppy, but I just watered. Okay, so we're going to come around to this side. We kind of mirrored the same thing over here. We have some of the Veronica on the upper level, some on the bottom level. And again, I love the hostas. And I love that we opened up the screen. See how you can kind of see through there? Isn't that pretty? So when that Diravella turns red, won't that be cool? All right, so then we come around the corner, and we did add some little topsoil right here with grass seed because we need that to fill in. The other bed came out that far, but look at these hostas. Aren't those gorgeous? And eventually they will grow and they'll fill this area, and then you won't even see that. This is here, but it's far, the Diravella is far enough away from the air conditioning that it's not going to impede it, but it's going to grow and help hide this right here. Come down here, we got some nice movement with our Calamagratis grass and our Patriot hostas. So gorgeous, I love it. I love the placement of the two boxwoods and where we decided to put those. And I like that we left the green hostas down here at the end. These are the Royal Standard, I'm pretty sure. So isn't that nice? I love it. So another landscape complete. I'm really happy with this one. John and Leslie are crazy ecstatic with it. Everything needs time to grow, but I think all in all, this is beautiful, easy to care for, nice color and textures, and most of all, the homeowners don't have to do a lot of maintenance, and they are absolutely in love with the look of their house now. Well, that's a wrap for today. That's all I got. So I hope you enjoyed our video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you learned that not all landscaping has to be complicated. I'm Michelle. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.